So Tamara and Santi, I'm going to turn it both over to you to talk about the incredible work that you are driving at Con Ed for a few minutes.
Sure. So my name is Tamara Bryan. I manage Con Edison's portfolio of projects focused on better serving our low and moderate income customers. And my colleague Santi and I are going to talk to you a little bit about sustainability from the company perspective. For us, sustainability means harnessing the resources that we have, utilizing those resources and making sure that they're available to us in the future, not just us, but all of us in the future. And so I'll talk a little bit about how we see the clean energy future and us fitting in that space. And then Santi will go into our specific department and some projects she's working on. At Con Edison, we really look to New York State and New York City and their goals for clean energy and how best to support the environmental goals they have. But we see ourselves as a leader in that transition to a clean energy future. And one way that we're really focusing on, at least in the next few years, is solar energy. And we see solar being a key part of that future. We want to make it easy for customers to install solar on their rooftops for those customers that can afford to install solar. And for those that can't, we want to create and support programs that allow them to gain access to the benefits of things like technology like solar. Just to give you some context, Con Edison is the second largest solar producer if you consider our clean energy businesses in North America. We're the seventh largest in the world. We've helped customer-sited solar arrays we've erected close to 36,000 of them. That's roughly around 331 megawatts of solar. That's enough. 1 megawatt of solar is enough to power 250,000 iPhones or 10,000 big screen TVs, to give you an idea of the size and scale. Santi's going to go into our specific department, what we do in her project that she's working on that has a sustainable aspect.
Thanks, Tamara, and hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting us to speak to you today and introduce some of the work that we're doing towards a more sustainable future. My name is Santi Hernandez, and I work as a project manager for the battery energy storage projects at Con Edison. Tamara and I are part of the REV Demonstration Projects Group, which was created after the New York Department of Public Services directed all of the investor-owned utilities in the state to develop and file projects as part of our energy strategy goals. These projects need to demonstrate new business models, test new technologies, and show a different approach towards implementing distributed energy resources. And it's really fun because these projects are developed with third parties. So the group went out and searched for projects after developing these key areas of focus for us. And we received many responses throughout the country that resulted in different demonstration projects that Tamara and I and the other team members are working on. So I will talk about my commercial battery storage project. This one is a 1 megawatt battery located in a commercial customer property in the Bronx, New York City. And this battery will take the stress off of Con Edison's grid on hot summer days, which is when the electrical usage is at its highest. Now, battery really allow energy companies to store the power that's generated by clean renewables and have the energy on hand for times when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining, because we know sometimes it's overcast out there. So for us, deploying batteries is a way in which we are leading the transition into a clean energy future. And battery storage really will take a greater importance in the future as we start to increase the amount of renewable generation that is, generated through solar or wind energy, regardless of whether it's customer sited, like commercially sited, or residentially sited. But we do have a very innovative residential program that Tamara will tell us about next. So please, Tamara, go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the biggest challenges of sustainability that we see is making it affordable and accessible to everyone. And I run a project called Community Power, and it's a new model for providing low and moderate income customers with solar generation at no upfront cost to these customers, and they don't have to have or own their own rooftops. I mean, as a renter, you don't have access to your rooftop, and you surely don't own it. So this project allows you to reap the benefits and participate in the green economy without having to have those things in place. You don't have to have any upfront costs, no capital outlay from you at all. You just need to pay a monthly subscription fee, and in exchange, you get a credit on your bill for the full value of the solar energy. And the difference between your subscription and that full value is savings of $10 or more a month. If you by chance are low or moderate income and you're participating in this event tonight, go to communitypower.nyc and see if you might be eligible to save money on a monthly basis. Now, if you're not low or moderate income and you still want to participate and act sustainably, there's some ways that you can reduce your footprint through everyday choices. And I always tell people to shift into stagger, but most folks focus on curtailing their usage. And that's one method. But another and arguably more important thing that you can consider is understanding how you should be combining your footprint. So not only how you should use things more efficiently, but when to use them. Peak time is between noon and 8 p.m. So using appliances off peak time is a much more affordable, but also much more sustainable way of using energy. You also want to stagger your use. You don't want to use all of your major appliances at the same time. That drives up costs and also is less sustainable. You're not going to charge your car at the same time that you're running your dishwasher and doing your laundry, that sort of thing. You want to do those at different times. Those are just general ways that you can take action now, today. Santi's just going to wrap up and talk a little bit about where we see ourselves in the next 5 years or so and what we're going to be focusing on.
Yeah, so, with your help, Con Edison will continue to focus on our solar and storage projects, like the ones we, talked about. And in addition, we will focus on electrification of our transit system, therefore reducing carbon emissions that, are heavily due to transportation. So what we're doing in that realm is we want to integrate electric vehicles into our system by installing quick charging and curbside charging ports in the city. And so we will also work to reduce emissions that ensure the environmental justice and low and moderate income communities are also considered as part of any new innovative programs that we develop. And so if you're interested in learning more, please visit our website where you can learn about all our different programs and how you could even get involved in these projects. And thank you so much. We'll share some of the links in the chat. Feel free to add us on LinkedIn too. Thank you.
Tamara and Santi, thank you both so much for sharing your insights. I feel like even if each person here can take one tangible next step from what you've shared, no matter what it is that they're doing where they are. And that is incredibly valuable as we think about sustainability and the role that each individual and, as you were demonstrating, each organization plays in driving that change. So a huge and massive thank you to you both. And we really appreciate you taking the time to share and to be here tonight. I'm so looking forward to sharing more information in our follow-up email to all attendees about what you've shared here tonight. And in the meantime, just want to say one more big thanks to Con Edison. Now, so happy to have you. As far as one of the things that we hope for each one of these events is that you walk away with tangible next steps about some action that you can drive. And you also learn about a valuable resource that is accessible and available to you. It is for that reason that we are incredibly delighted to welcome Ruby Au, who's the head of North America Ecosia. If you have heard of Ecosia here, please drop like a big exclamation point in the chat. And if you haven't, stay tuned, because what you're about to hear is something that's going to revolutionize the way that we think about online searches and sustainability. So Ruby, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Jen. And I'm seeing a few exclamation marks in the chat, so really glad to see that we have some few Ecosia users or supporters here. But what I'm going to do quickly is I'm just going to share my screen and throw this up. So just give me a heads up when you guys are able to see that. Perfect. And then let me just kind of throw this up bigger so that everybody can see. But I just want to take you all really quickly through Ecosia, what we do, and why we're really excited to be part of this Earth Day panel, but really all Earth Day initiatives and sustainability initiatives. Essentially what we are, and let me just minimize this, is we are a green search engine. So the same as Google or any other search engine that you currently use on your computer. How these search engines work is as you're searching and you're going through results and clicking on links, some of those links are usually advertisements, and the search engine is making advertising revenue in the background. Now, most search engines, Google being probably the main one that we all know, they just take that, they reinvest it in their business, they pay it out to shareholders. But Ecosia has discovered that this really profitable and lucrative model of search, you can actually just reinvest all of those profits into climate action. So that's what we do. We're a green search engine and certified B Corp, and that takes 100% of our profits and we put it back into climate action, with at least 80% of that going to financing tree planting. And so at this point, we are, to our knowledge, the world's largest financier of native tree species in the world. And with 50 million users, we're also one of the world's largest environmental movements. So when it comes to what we finance, tree planting is what Ecosia is known for. So if you go on our website, if you talk to anybody about Ecosia, we're known as the green search engine that plants trees. We're currently in 47 different projects around 26 countries. So we really plant all over the world. And I'll go a little bit more into details about what those projects look like in a moment. But the other 20% of those profits, we kind of spread across three main areas. One is regenerative agriculture, two, renewable energy, and three, grassroots activism. So in terms of regenerative agriculture, we've really started investing in the regeneration of soil. And we've actually set up one of Europe's first incubators for helping farmers transition into regenerative practices. And as far as renewable energy goes, we actually built our own solar plant back in 2017. So all of the energy powering Ecosia searches are from clean, renewable solar energy. And at this point, we're producing twice as much solar as we need to actually power all those searches. So we kind of brand ourselves as 200% renewable. What that means is essentially we're also a carbon negative company, and we've gone just a step beyond going carbon neutral. And finally, grassroots activism. Again, I'll cover a few of those projects that we've been supporting. But for us, it's not just being a green search engine and a sustainable company. It's everything that comes with being what we think of as ethical tech, or a sustainable company, not just for the environment, but also for people and planet. So not only are we not for profit, we give away all of our profits. We're completely transparent. We publish our monthly reports online, monthly financial reports online, so you can see exactly what money we're spending where, how much is going into tree planting, how much is going to salaries. That's all publicly accessible. We're also completely privacy friendly. We don't store or track your searches. We don't sell your data to third-party advertisers. And as mentioned, we're more than CO2 neutral. We're on 200% renewable energy. And then the last little note is we are steward owned, meaning Ecosia's founder, Christian, actually gave away voting rights and ownership rights of Ecosia to something called the Purpose Foundation. So we can never be sold. And that basically enshrines our mission and protects it in perpetuity, making sure that no investor or different owner is ever going to come in and change the reason why Ecosia exists, which is to plant trees and invest into climate action. So the juicy part that everybody likes to ask about, and which I like to talk about the most, is our tree planting. Here's just a quick snapshot of one of our projects in Brazil in the span of 3 years. What we do is we're the financier of tree planting projects. So we're not actually the ones putting the trees in the ground, but we work with local organizations, oftentimes NGOs or local community groups who do the planting. And what kind of blows my mind when I look at this photo personally is realizing that all of those trees are literally powered by people just typing and searching on their computers. A few more of these are actually my favorite projects, but also a lot of our users' favorite projects. And you'll remember a few years ago, there was the bushfires in Australia that caught worldwide media attention. What we ended up doing is a one-day campaign where we told our users, look, all of the search revenue from today, we're going to dedicate that back into tree planting to reforest Australia. And so in the span of one day, we were able to raise enough money through searches to replant 26,000 trees in 2020. And then another one, again, we plant across 26 different countries. So there's a huge variety of projects that I can continue going through. But this one is one of my personal favorites, is our project in Senegal. So what we're doing there is doing something called forest gardens. And we're working with smallholder farmers to plant trees on their land. And what happens when you plant trees on land is it actually increases the overall yield or your productivity. It's just the way that there's synergies between crops. They provide shade. They provide ecosystem services that makes the land more fertile. And so these smallholder farmers end up being able to take that extra yield, sell it at market, and then that extra money is then poured back into their families. They're able to pay for their children's education. And they're also able to improve their overall quality of life. And it's these projects that I think that really illustrate the link between environmental well-being and human well-being. And so finally, a lot of you in the groups today, I just wanted to give a quick plug here in that we would love to work together with more socially focused companies. I don't want to take up too much time, so I'll just give one example. Insight Timer is one of the world's largest meditation apps, but we're launching a meditation challenge with them on Earth Day, actually tomorrow, where we'll plant a tree for every 3 or 6 or 10 days that a user meditates, to encourage eco-anxiety coping mechanisms and climate anxiety coping mechanisms. So oftentimes we'll tie tree planting to these kinds of partnerships, or similar to Australia campaign, we'll use our search revenue to raise money for causes that we believe in. And so if you or anyone you know is working for social impact companies that we can kind of help benefit and further, then feel free to drop me a note. And lastly, I wanted to end on an actionable, which is what can you do? And I'm particularly excited to talk about this. Jen and I have been going back and forth about how we can plug the social changes community into Ecosia's community and work. And so what we're doing is we're launching a challenge where for every single one of you that installs Ecosia and starts searching with us, we'll be able to actually track the trees that we plant together as Be Social Change. And Jen will actually get a nice report in her email on a monthly basis showing how many trees we planted together through your searches. And so for this to work, what you'll need to do is go to this link over here, and I'll drop it into the chat later, but it's ecosia.co/besocialchange. When you install Ecosia through that link, and then all of your searches will kind of be aggregated into this overall organizational tally. One quick note, if you do have Ecosia installed already, you will need to uninstall it, clear your cookies, and then reinstall it with this link in order for your searches to count. So with that, I will turn it back over to Jen, but a huge thank you, and especially thank you to those of you who've already been searching with us and supporting us. Everything that we do is really made possible by our users.
First of all, thank you so much for sharing the awesome product that you created. It's really innovative, and it's a very simple, easy way for people to make an impact on something they're doing on a daily basis. We posted the link in the chat, and then there were a couple of questions, but I wanted to make sure that people all understood. Some people asked, does it share the same results as Google? I said yes, and I think you can verify that or any other search engine. But I think there's something also interesting is that you can definitely go to ecosia.com and then eventually do searches, but you also have your own individual app that one is a search engine, but also kind of replicates a web browser because you can do your searches in that. Is that correct?
Yep, exactly. So on phones, we have a mobile browser, and on desktop, you can either install an extension, kind of exactly actually like a Chrome extension, or whatever browser you're on, and do it that way. That's the simplest. And then I'll really quickly also address the question about Google. It is like Google, but one key difference that you'll see, and this is something that users often don't know, but one of the reasons Google's search results are so tailored to you is because they are unfortunately not privacy friendly, which means they aggregate all the data they have on you. And when you type in Belize, they're able to guess that you want holiday information on Belize, not necessarily historical information on Belize. Because Ecosia is privacy friendly, we don't have the benefit of all of this data to contextualize your search results against. So you might see things that are more generic. You might have to try a little bit more to get the thing that you're after. But that, again, is the trade-off of using a privacy friendly and ethical tech product versus, Google, which tracks and stores your data. And so that's a clarification that we like to be transparent and upfront with users about. But the last thing I'll say to that is we've also built in a shortcut so you can toggle between Ecosia and Google quickly. If you type in any search result on Ecosia, but you just add #G after your search term, it will automatically redirect you to Google. So you can try searching with Ecosia, try to find the thing that you're after. If you can't, or you're used to the way that Google has presented information, just quickly toggle back.
Awesome. And then I did the same thing. Jenna asked, oops, I already installed it. And they were installing it probably when you were talking. I did the same thing. Yes, feel free to uninstall it and then reinstall it through that link just so that it'll be interesting to see the tracking and some of the things that the Be Social Change community can do.
Yes. And so with that, you all have a mandate. actionable thing that we can do from here is plant trees in partnership with an incredible organization, which, as you've heard, holds really exceptional principles for any business that is, or nonprofit that is trying to make a greater difference through their work. So I want to say a huge, huge thank you to Ruby for the work that you're doing, and to each one of you. I hope that you'll join this Be Social Change campaign and tree planting. If you're going to hear a little bit more about us about how the campaign is going. So feel free to share that link and encourage others to join too, because that is how we are going to grow this movement. Ruby, thank you so much for taking the time to share, and again, for the work that Ecosia is doing.